Hello, everyone, and welcome to another recap episode of the Giant Take podcast. We're coming to you Monday morning in an absolute disastrous New York Giants game. Atrocious. Occurred yesterday. It was terrible. It was one of the worst Giants games that I have seen in my lifetime. It was, plain and simple as that. It was one of the worst Giants games from start to finish I have ever watched in my life. I am a young 19 years old. I understand that there might have been worse before me, and there could very much be worse after me. However, what I will say is that I've seen a lot of bad New York Giants games, and I don't think any of them beat that one. And I really, really do think that. And that even counts the QB sneaks in the Joe Judge era. This was worse than that for many reasons. And we can go off on all of them because that's what we do here. Thank you so much for listening. We're going to really get into and deep dive into everything. I'm Josh, and I'm joined by my friend and co-host, Alex. Oh, Alex, how are you after this game?
I mean, I'm doing wonderful. No, just kidding. It's really, really tough to watch this football team, and obviously, it was even made worse on Sunday Night Football when Saquon Barkley went for 250 plus yards on the ground. Had huge bursts for two big touchdowns. So not fun to watch. And then, of course, having to go on Twitter and see the many takes that the Giants, are having, 5.7 yards per play average, where Saquon Barkley himself is having 6.1 yards per play personally average, and all the fun stats that show the Giants should not have parted with Saquon Barkley, which I think is a discussion for another time. But it's very, very
well. They're not wrong.
I think it's a difficult discussion. I genuinely think, because Saquon Barkley would not be doing the things he's doing on the Eagles with the Giants right now, right?
The Eagles, no idea.
Saquon Barkley is not going to fix the fact that we don't have a quarterback. He's not going to fix the fact that we have two tackles that are not functioning.
However, what's the difference? Saquon Barkley's still on the Eagles. Daniel Jones is not on the Giants. And it really, quite frankly, comes down to that, is that the New York Giants chose their quarterback in Daniel Jones over Saquon Barkley. That's what they did. They value quarterback over running back, which is fair. It's a fair argument. However, that quarterback isn't even with the team anymore. That's the difference.
I think that's fair, but I also don't think it was a one or the other type of situation. It was very much they didn't value Saquon Barkley at that price tag, and that's what it was. Now, you could say that was wrong considering how he's performing right now. I think that's a fair argument. But it's very tough to sit here and say that Saquon Barkley fit the Giants' timeline at the time they let him go, especially knowing that the Giants were not going to be very good. At least we knew the Giants weren't going to be very good. I'm not sure if Joe Shane and company knew that, but yeah, there was a ton of bad mistakes that are not looking good, right? Xavier McKinney, just went on to get his 7th interception of the season yesterday, which is tied most in the NFL. The Giants have only had 1 interception this entire season, which is another fun one that I saw on CBS Sports Twitter. Julian Love is balling out for the Seahawks. Leonard Williams had probably one of the games of his career for the Seahawks. So a lot of ex-Giants, I think, are going on to play much better outside of New York. And I think that's the main concern here. Why are all these players that Joe Shane decided to let go performing at such a high level elsewhere? Besides McKinney, I'll make him an exception, who are performing so much better outside of New York, right? McKinney, I think, was performing at this equal level, with the Giants, but Saquon Barkley is performing better. Leonard Williams, Julian Love, those guys are all performing better. And that's just to name a few, right? Even Ben Bredesen, Josh, yesterday. I don't know if you were watching him, obviously starting for the Buccaneers at guard. He looked a whole lot better than he looked with the Giants when he was playing guard with us. So I think there's something to be said about that, and why is that happening? And I think that's a serious concern. Everyone's going to talk about Saquon Barkley, but there's a lot more than that, which has been going on for this team. And I don't know what kind of discussion that has to be, but it definitely needs to be had sooner rather than later.
And that first interception and only interception of the year, Alex, came in garbage time off a tip. I think it was off of Dexter Lawrence in week 1 against the Minnesota Vikings. So,
yeah,
really 0 picks on the year. I mean, come on. So that's where we leave you. And I don't know how much really into this game talk we can have before it kind of goes to the holistic lens of this team. And we've been doing it already. I mean, this is not like week 1 of us talking about it. We're before Thanksgiving. There's still 6 games left on the year.
Yeah.
And we're already discussing the sake of the Giants team past this season. But let's go into the game a little bit and talk about, we can do the offense and the defense. Let's start with Tommy DeVito. So Tommy DeVito steps in this week for the New York Giants, who do not select Drew Lock after signing him for a $5 million 1-year contract to back up Daniel Jones due to what you would assume was signed because of Jones's injury, being injury prone, the injury clause in his contract, et cetera, but they do not play him. Okay. So they go to Tommy DeVito instead to light a spark, as Brian Dable says. The week unravels with Jones getting benched to Jones playing safety to Jones getting cut. DeVito starts. The whole thing about Tommy DeVito is he's going to let the ball loose. He's going to light a spark. Tommy DeVito looks so uncomfortable in his sense of motions and running through them throughout the game, just not looking to want to throw the ball, which was the whole reason that it seemed like Brian Dable went to him over Drew Lock, not only because he had a sense of connection with DeVito and a sense of trust more than for some reason he doesn't like playing Drew Lock and doesn't feel that Drew Lock is a capable quarterback for this Giants team after, again, signing him in the offseason. Maybe that wasn't a connection between Dable and Joe Schoen. I don't know. Regardless, DeVito was signed to, or was which was given the starting role, to make passes, to throw the ball. And that's something we really did not see in the first half, especially. Just not converting on third downs, not throwing the ball in general, not going through his progressions well, his reads well. And I don't really know how much I'm supposed to expect from him. He's a third-string quarterback. However, then don't start him if that's the case. I mean, your job's on the goddamn line, and you're throwing out a third string when you have a capable backup quarterback to save not only your team's reputation, but yours personally. And I'm speaking directly to Brian Dable with that comment. It's not only about, the Giants can end with a respectable 5-8, 6-8 record, whatever it may be, or even 500, right? It's more about the reason that your jobs are on the line and you're throwing in a third string quarterback. What do you think is going to happen? And if I think that a 30-7 loss to the Buccaneers wasn't predictable, I don't know what is. I don't know what else you want to bet on to happen. So that's what I saw from DeVito today.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult when I feel like the rest of the offense also gave up around him. The offensive line, once Illuminor went out, it was an absolute disaster. The running game wasn't great, besides a few sparks from Tyrone Tracy again, of course, till the fumble towards the end of the game. But
again,
the receivers did not look like they were. I mean, in the first half, especially, I'd say second quarter, once I think Malik Neighbors kind of realized that he wasn't really in the game plan, which I don't know why that is the case. He definitely did not look like he was running at 100%. Darius Slayton, Jalen Hyde. It looked like a bunch of just deflated individuals on offense and then specifically on defense who just are not really behind the team at this point in time. And Tommy DeVito, I think, he's a fun story, obviously, with the North Jersey native, the Italianness, the, whatever else you want to call it, but he's not a good quarterback, like he's a third string quarterback, and that's probably where he's going to end up in his NFL career. And, he made it to the league. There's nothing wrong with that, but he is not some sort of savior that is going to uplift this Giants team around him, especially when there's just not that much talent around him compared to other offenses in the NFL. And that's the main issue. And, Malik Neighbors, I don't know why he's not game planned around in the first half. Second half, obviously they got him the ball, probably after he screamed in Brian Dable's face at halftime, but it was ridiculous that Malik Neighbors is not getting the ball. And post game, he made it very clear that he wasn't happy with the game plan. He wasn't happy that he wasn't getting the ball. And a lot of people were like, he's going to be an issue. This is worse than anything OBJ ever did with the media. Granted, Malik Neighbors is not very well media trained. I can tell you that. And I'm sure that's something they're going to try to work on with him in New York. But nothing that he said was wrong, which I think people, need to respect. I honestly do respect someone coming out and saying what happened, what legit happened in the media. And, he needed to somehow force his way into the game plan more going forward. And there's no better way of doing that than making it publicly clear. So it's not great from an optics point of view, but from what he did personally, I genuinely don't see anything wrong with that. But I know a lot of people were very furious with him post game about that.
I do want to give my take on this, but we should take a break. So that's what we'll do. We'll take a break. We'll come back. I'll give my take on Malik Neighbors. We'll talk a little bit more about this Giants loss right after the other end of the break. Stay tuned.
Go out there first, second quarter, don't get the ball, start getting targets at the end. I mean, can't do nothing. Start getting the ball when it's 30-0. What you want me to do?
Why in the first half are they not looking at you?
I don't know. Talk to Dave about that. Talk to Dave.
Did you say something to the coaches at halftime?
I mean, they know. They come up to me, ask me what plays I want. That was that. I mean, I don't know, man.
All right, welcome back in. So here's the deal. Yeah, that whole thing with Malik Neighbors happening yesterday, saying that the team played, what was the exact quote? Well, he also said it's not about the quarterback, same outcome with DJ, so defending his old quarterback and Daniel Jones a little bit there, I thought was pretty cool. I started getting the ball when it's 30-0. What do you want me to do? And then said, talk to Daves about that. He also said that when asked to describe the Giants' loss today, he described it soft as fuck. So that's Malik Neighbors' take on things, as he looked like Travis Scott with his sunglasses and hat on in the Giants locker room after the game. Anyway, I agree with you, Alex. I actually respected the comments by Malik Neighbors. Is one of the most dynamic playmakers on this team, and you're not throwing him the football. Kind of what is the problem there? Why do we not trust Malik Neighbors? And, people were calling him a loser. People were calling him, like a bad influence on the team. He's not in a good headspace for the locker, whatever it may be. Well, here's the thing. This guy was at LSU. They won 20 games. They lost 7 games in the last 2 years that he was there, right? So he's used to winning. And now he goes to this football team in the NFL, and he's 2-9 right now. He's not used to that. Sure, like LSU's not Alabama. I understand that. But that doesn't mean that he wasn't part of like a Georgia State or like I don't even know, like what, Texas Southern. Like LSU's a good football school in college. So he was used to winning, and now he's not winning. So it's a little bit of a different adjustment that he kind of has to make. And it's going to annoy him a little bit when he's gotten so many wins in college, and I'm sure in high school too. Actually, I don't want to assume, but I do know in college for sure. And he's not even, that's the thing. Like, I don't know, expect what Giants fans want here. Like, the team is losing. I understand that at this point, this is what's going to happen when these atrocious losses are happening. You're going to lose. Some players are going to make comments. And a lot of people were saying, a lot of players, I should say, said that the team, like, played weak, right? The team didn't play well. Dexter Lawrence played soft. That was the word they used. Played soft in that game. That's the word that a lot of players kept on using. What do you expect from this? Like, what do you expect them to say? Oh, no, we put up a good fight. And also, it wasn't that Malik Neighbors directly said, like, oh, Brian Daboll sucks as the head coach. He said, listen, not my place. You got to talk to the head coach about that. I'm not getting the ball. You had just as good of a guess as I do to why I'm not getting the ball. I have no idea. You got to talk to the coach about that. He could have answered that in so many worse ways. Sure, does that bring up a question mark of, oh boy, what's the relationship between Malik Neighbors and Brian Daboll? Absolutely. Now, what do? Alex, when that happens, it's not a repercussions thing that Malik Neighbors needs to get suspended or fined, but there does need to be some addressing of that now before it becomes too late. And he also, requests to get cut or traded. Malik Neighbors is your rookie. He's allowed to make these like mistakes now in his rookie year because he has that rookie next to his name. Now, with that being said, the Giants have no captains on the offense right now. Andrew Thomas is out for the year. Daniel Jones is cut. He's gone. There is no one with the C on their chest, on their jersey, on this Giants offense anymore. Not only is there no really stars on this team, but there's no veterans. It's all younger players. So there's probably not anyone being that guide, that leader in the locker room. No one's stepping up. And that's why this team is playing with no energy and they're just giving up. And mind you, there's 6 games left. Now you could say Dexter Lawrence. Oh yeah, he should be that leader. He should be that guy. He's also a younger player and he's like a soft-spoken guy. I don't see Dexter Lawrence like a Michael Strahan chiming in the locker room like that and hyping everyone up. I don't see Brian Burns doing that. I don't see Devin Singletary doing that. There's no players like that on this team. There's no stars. There's no veterans. There's nothing. There's no substance with this team that's going to help gel them together and rally through and win football games. And it's simply put, this team is lucky enough to win one game for the rest of the year. And you look at teams around the league, Alex, I'm sorry, I know I'm going for a rant here, but you look at teams around the league and a team that you just probably last week or a couple of weeks ago that we said, Alex, this was our worst team, worst game that we watched ever against the Carolina Panthers in Germany. A horrific loss. What did the Panthers do? They do something. They were almost able to pull off one of the funniest things in the NFL. Why? Because they fought. They looked like they actually wanted to play, and they were displaying effort on the field against the Kansas City Chiefs team that is debatably the best team in the NFL. The Panthers yesterday lost on a game-winning field goal. And sure, you can say, oh, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs probably played them easy, and they weren't really caring. They were just lollygagging. Who cares? Who gives a shit? Let's be honest. The Panthers were the laughingstock. You want to talk about laughingstocks? You want to talk about memes of the NFL, right? Jokes. That was the Carolina Panthers under Bryce Young, a first pick that didn't work out. You know what? Bryce Young and company fought their asses off to try and get a win yesterday in Carolina. And they were this close. They were so close to getting that win. And what did the Giants do on the other end of that? The team that lost that game to the Carolina Panthers? They lost 30-7. And Baker Mayfield is mocking our third-string quarterback after scoring touchdowns in the end zone. It doesn't get worse than this. And if it does, Alex, how far down is rock bottom?
I mean, I don't. The problem is they're playing with no effort. And you could see that specifically on the defensive side of the ball. Everyone's playing business decisions or just not caring. And I almost feel like I'm wasting my time talking about that because if they're not going to put the effort in, why should I even put the effort in to talk about them? But it's not like they're not going to win any games playing at that effort level. Now, could they, string together a couple wins if they put in 100% effort, 110%? Sure, there's enough talent on this team, but it's the lack of belief in that locker room right now. And I don't know if Brian Dable's fully lost them, but he's, damn close to it. And that's going to be the end of him if he cannot bring everyone together, at least to lose with some pride. Because, John Mara, I talked about this in the interview with Justin, Josh. He's a very reactive man. He reacts to how players talk to him. He reacts to how the media talks about things. And he reacts to how, us as fans talk about things. And the Saquon Barkley stuff must be absolutely killing him. We saw it in the Hard Knocks. I'm sure it's even worse in real life. It must be breaking that man, as it is most Giants fans. And I think if Brian Dable cannot rally together this team over the next few weeks, at least to put in some solid performances, I think he's gone. Because this Giants team, if you lose without any dignity, if you lose without any effort, it's just over for you. And the fans are, so disheartened, I think, at this point that it feels numb to watch this team. And it's just not how it's supposed to be watching football. And I have no belief that the Giants can win any game against anybody. You could put the Giants up against, our high school team. And I honestly would have slight hesitations to whether they could beat them at the current effort levels that they're at. So it's a mentality issue. It's an effort issue. And it's a locker room, culture issue right now. And, they always talk about culture. Whatever regime has been here, this Giants culture right now is terrible. It's awful.
Yeah, Alex, and I think that's where we should end it on. And I really hate that we have to do this every week. Are we going to have to do this every week? Like I don't even know what to do anymore in that way. If we have to do for the next 6 games, we have to do a holistic lens of, okay, Brian Dable, Joe Shane update. What do we think? Are they staying or going? I mean, that's really where we are right now. It's not even Thanksgiving yet. That's where we are right now. Come on. So with that being said, I guess at this point, if the team is going to play like that, yeah, Brian Dable's out of here. Which, as Alex, as you said, they're kind of a package deal. So, if you're right on that standpoint, then Brian Dable out of here, then Joe Shane also is following him. So I think that it'd be a different story if we were getting these comments in the locker room and Malik Neighbors was saying this, and so was Dexter Lawrence in the second or last game of the season. But to do this, and it's only late November, is a huge problem. And that's where I think we'll leave you with right now. The Giants, they come back out in just a few days, and they're going to play a Thanksgiving game. You're going to see this Giants team on national TV, I think with a 4:30 kickoff against the Dallas Cowboys, one of their NFC East rivals. A battle of backup quarterbacks, whether it might be Tommy DeVito or Drew Lock. Now, how funny would it be, Alex, if Drew Lock comes back in after getting benched and after also, by the way, talking about losing the locker room? Drew Lock said this week, it's kind of like Malik Neighbors not getting his targets. He's like, you have a better answer than I do. I got signed here to be a backup quarterback, and I'm not doing the backup quarterback things. Why is that? I don't know. Got to ask the coach. So Drew Lock already with a bad relationship with what seems to be Brian Dable. Makes sense. Why do you sign a guy for $5 million and throw it right down the drain by not actually playing him when the Giants need him? But how funny would it be if DeVito plays so bad in however many games it is that the Giants actually have to circle back and play Drew Lock? Or Does Brian Dable really hold his word that much that the team goes to Tim Boyle? We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, that's going to do it for this one. I assume we'll probably have a preview out either on Wednesday or on Thursday talking about this game, whatever it may be, the battle of backups between Cooper Rush, Drew Lock, Tommy DeVito, and kind of who knows. The Giants play on Thanksgiving. It's on national TV. It's going to be an embarrassing one. Get ready for it. Thanks so much for listening to this episode. Our social platforms are The Giant Take Pod on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I'm on Twitter at Joshua29. Alex on Twitter at Anorian23. And thank you so much for listening or watching.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to today's episode. I hope everyone has an okay week given the circumstances, and we'll see you. Looking forward to Thanksgiving against the Cowboys. Peace.